Yep. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. It's the last day. Hey guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. It is another edition of Six Figure Real Estate University. This is my passion project that I bring to you every week, Fridays at 2 p.m. It's always something real estate related, real estate likely that we will be discussing and just kind of reviewing, for Six Figure Real Estate University. Today, I have a very special guest. So many of my agent friends, mentees, colleagues have sent in questions for this guy. He's super duper popular. So I think it's going to be a great show today. I encourage you, if you have questions, comments, concerns, please post your comments below. Ask your questions below because this is going to be a information field interview today. So please post your questions. I want to get this person to answer them. Today we're going to have on a renowned appraiser, Mark Durden. He is with DS Murphy. He's been in the appraisal game over 30 years. Long time. He's been practicing since 1991. He's been with GS Murphy, which is one of the largest appraisal companies here in Georgia for over 20 years. He is a USPAP licensed instructor, so he teaches the appraisal courses as well. He is just a wealth of knowledge. I've personally used him for those awkward beauties, I call them, when I have those listings that come up that I can't really get accurate numbers because they're so unique. So I've used him and he's done wonders. So without further ado, Mr. Mark Durden, welcome to Six Figure Real Estate University. Did I do good with that introduction?
Thank you so much. Wow, I have a lot to live up to.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've had a ton of questions for you from agents, so we're really excited to have you on today. So thank you so much for joining us. Just give us a little information about you and how you work and why you love appraisal so much. You've been doing this a long time.
I have, I love appraising. I love being able to get out and meet people and see their houses and talk to them about their houses and what they can do to improve their value and kind of help them through the process of or estimating the value of their properties. What I like about it is just that getting out and being able to meet the people and talk to them about it and kind of educate them in the process. Yeah.
Very awesome. You gotta love what you do. I am the same with real estate. Being a licensed agent now for 9 years and broker, I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. It is just one of my pride and joys, and I'm an extrovert. So as you can tell.
Yeah.
Well, let's just dive right into it, Mark. This is
Right.
the crazy real estate market I've ever seen. I don't know. You've been doing it much longer than I have. Is this the craziest real estate market you've ever seen, or what?
It's right up there. It's not may not be the craziest. It may not. It's well, yeah, it's right up there. I've seen a
Okay.
lot of ups and downs, but yeah, this is kind of a crazy time.
Okay. Well, just to just kind of take an examine and look at how we're doing appraisals these days. When I take a listing, especially if it's one of my more unique listings, I will generally go to the property before the appraiser gets there and kind of leave comps, maybe leave copies of other offers I've gotten on the property just so they have a general knowledge of where I'm getting this valuation from. Is that something you appreciate from the agents that you work with?
I absolutely do. I know going into the process that you've already priced the house, you've already marketed the house, you've already sold it. So you know more about this house than I do. So yeah, I absolutely want to get as much information from the agents as I can because you have information that may not be readily available or evident So yeah, that information is very helpful to appraisers.
So I'm gonna pat myself on the back. That means I'm doing a good job by doing the extra research, leaving making your job as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Um, I want to ask you, how important do you think it is for the appraiser to know the area? Because, I could be selling a property in the West End, which is a very unique neighborhood, which is different from Westview. And,
Mhm.
our appraiser coming from Alpharetta, I don't know if they know these things. So, how important is it that the appraiser know the area and how the difference in one side of the street is in the values?
It's very important, Lakeisha. That is something that is kind of the key to being able to accurately do an appraisal. Now, the state says that I can appraise anything, any home in the state, which is fine. But I don't. If I don't know a market very well, I'm obligated to learn as much as I can so that I can do a competent job and produce a credible report. A lot of appraisers unfortunately don't necessarily do that. For a lot of times, if they don't know the market, they tend to just kind of throw sales at it and see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very important. More often than not, when there are appraisal issues, it's because an appraiser didn't know the market very well.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was my next thing.
Yeah.
It's very rare that I've gotten low appraisals. It has happened a few times in my career,
Mhm.
which is very upsetting for everybody involved because it's like, ugh.
Right.
So, like, what's the process look like on your end with an agent trying to dispute an appraisal, and what's the best practice to actually get those numbers where we feel that they should be? What's the best method? Because I'm going to be honest, I've never had success in disputing an appraisal. You got
Well,
to stand on
Lakeisha,
your numbers.
the goal is to not be in that situation to begin with.
Of course.
And one of the best ways that you can do that is have what we call a consultation appraisal done, where we go in before you list it, before you sell it, and we do the appraisal. We help, and so you help the homeowner and you, the realtor, understand the market and the dynamics that are affecting the market and what you should expect through the appraisal process. And that we've been very successful in that. And there are other things that we can do to help you kind of go through the process, but that's one of the best things that you can do. But if you are in that situation, um, I would encourage you to provide information to the appraiser
Okay.
that's relevant and pertinent, and homes that are more similar in style and age and quality, and explain to the appraiser why you think those are good comparables. You
Okay.
also need to be able to explain why you think a sale is not a good comparable. There are lots of things that affect the sales price and the value. The sales price is very often not the actual value of the property. It's what buyer and seller have agreed upon. But if there are extenuating circumstances or other factors, it can skew that sales price up or down.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Now, how do you handle that same thing in new construction? Because it's kind of hard to have a pre consult when it's nothing to pre-consult about. So, and I'm seeing that a lot in this market where, our buyers are under contract for, let's say, 500, and then the appraisal comes back and it says that it's only worth 493. So how are you handling? I've seen it happen. I have so many friends complaining and crying about this in this market. It's like, how do you handle it? Because your poor buyers are under contract now, and now they got to come up with a difference of $7,000. Like, that was unexpected. So how do you handle that? Like,
Well, in new construction, it's a little bit different because if there's not a structure there for us to actually see and measure and take pictures of, we'll do it from a set of plans and blueprints and specs and things like that we get from the builder. But yeah, if the sales price is 500 and the appraisal comes at 493, that raises a lot of questions. I'm not sure there's an appraiser good enough to say that it's only 493. I know the market's telling us 500. But when that's the case, the appraiser really needs to have some conversations with the realtors and the builder and try to get some information that could make a difference there.
okay, okay. So one of my main questions for you, Mark,
Mhm.
again, referencing back to this very fast growing market where we're seeing sales that happen within a month, and in a month you've seen a $30,000 increase literally in value on a home. How do you take that into account when you're doing appraisals in the neighborhood? Like everybody's getting multiple offers now. I mean, I've literally talked to agents and they've received 40 and 50 offers on one house. So how do you accurately go in and appraise that when a person has agreed to pay 30 grand over list price? How do you appraise the next house in that neighborhood when you're dealing with those types of offer situations?
Well, the market is so dynamic right now that the appraiser has to keep up with what's happening. And the best way to do that is to look at not only just the very most recent sales that have occurred, but also you really have to lean in on those pending sales, the ones that are under contract, because those are the homes with the absolute very most recent market activity. And so
Yes,
those are the ones that are going to really be able to tell us what the appreciation rate should be and what kind of time adjustment we should make to reflect the appreciation that's taking place in the market. Um, I always, when I use a pending sale, and I use pending sales in every appraisal that I do, I always call that realtor and I have a conversation with them about their sales price. And I ask them,
okay,
what,
okay.
what is your sales price? And sometimes they'll say, I'm sorry, I can't tell you that. But a lot of realtors are understanding that it's an important sale and it could make a big difference, not only in the appraisal that I'm doing on the home that I'm appraising, but it also could affect their appraisal and the sales that are coming on down the road in that subdivision. So those
Exactly.
sales are the key.
Exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned that, Mark, because since my real estate training began, they've always told us to look at recent close, recent close, recent close. But now the market has changed so drastically. You definitely want to take into consideration those pending sales. And even with that, it still makes it hard, I think, because you don't know, just because it's pending, you don't know what it's under contract for. And, agents aren't supposed to really tell each other that information. So,
Well, I understand, but agents, as long as they have permission from their client, the homeowner,
okay.
they
So,
can tell the appraiser what the sales price is.
okay, okay.
So
Well,
yeah,
that's good information. Agents, I hope you guys are taking notes on that. Look at those pending sales.
yeah. Like I said, knowing what the contract price is on the pending sales is the key for appraisers to keep up with the appreciation that's taking place.
Okay, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Good information to know. Let me definitely jump into this because this is very important. Are you seeing any slowdown in the pace of home values increasing? Because I've just never seen increases like this in such a short amount of time. Are you seeing any slowdown in this market?
Well, Lakeisha, it's interesting because actually, I wouldn't even call it a slowdown. I would call it more of a tempering of the demand that's being placed because the
Okay,
supply hasn't really changed. But I think the level of demand is starting to wane just a little bit. And in the Atlanta market, I wouldn't say that it's slowed, but like I said, I think it's kind of tempered a little bit.
okay.
Which,
Why do
yeah,
you
I think
think
that's,
that?
pardon me.
Why do you think that's happening right now?
Well, I think a lot of buyers are getting tired of looking and not being able to buy anything.
Yeah,
I hear every day an agent tell me they've had a buyer make offer on 7 or 8 different houses and they haven't been able to get it. They lost
yeah.
out on it, and I think they're getting frustrated and upset and just deciding it's not worth it. I'll just stay where I am.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Mhm.
I definitely feel their pain because I am a buyer's agent girl. Uh, and
Yeah, you are.
I hear the cries and the moans and groans every time we have to put in an offer. It really feels like if you're not putting in a cash offer in this market, that it's just probably not going to happen for you,
Yeah,
especially for my poor like VA and FHA loan buyers. So
yeah,
really have a hard time in this market.
yeah.
Um, so I work with a number of investors as well. So in this market, everyone's looking at single family and more importantly, multi-family homes, the duplexes, the quads, triplexes of the world.
Mhm.
What is the best and quickest way to determine, like the approximate value of multi-family properties when comps are very scarce? Like, what's the best way to come up with those numbers?
Well, a lot of times when in a multifamily area, there's not a lot in relation to all the other homes. There are fewer, obviously fewer multifamily homes out there, but they tend to be grouped together usually in pockets here and there. And it's not uncommon to have some activity going on in those little pockets. Now, there may not be enough going on to really estimate the value, so you need to expand your search parameters, and move to a more or maybe a multifamily complex or a multifamily little enclave that's relatively close by.
So,
But go
okay.
ahead. No, I was going to say, but you have to know your market because if you
Yeah,
don't know the market, you might go somewhere that's totally irrelevant.
exactly. And with that being said, how many miles out is it typical to be acceptable to go to find that? Because like
Oh, that's a
where I am in the West End, you have a lot of single family residents, but you have multifamilies like dropped in, like one or two on the street, or one or two in your that like mile radius. So they're kind of all over the place. So it's just like, what's acceptable amount of miles to go out to kind of pull up
well,
that information?
there's not a magical mile distance that is accurate or not accurate.
Okay.
It really depends on the market that you're in. Very seldom will the comparables I use all be within a mile. There's a common misconception that you have to stay within a mile, or appraisers have to stay within a
Yeah,
mile.
yeah,
Well, that's
that's what
not
we're
true.
talking
That's not
about.
true. As a matter of fact, more often than not, I can't. It's more important to find something more similar or more comparable rather than use a home that's not even closely similar but is close by. I would
Okay.
rather go 2 miles away and get something that's more similar, and especially if it's the same school district, because schools tend to drive the values here in the
Yes.
Atlanta area, and so that's more important, I think, than the maybe trying to stay within a mile or 2 miles even. If you have a comp that's very similar, and especially if it's recent, but it's 2.5 miles away, well, that might be more relevant than one that's might be closer by, but it's not even similar at all. So
Right, right, right. Just kind of makes it kind of icky getting to the
it does.
numbers on
Yeah.
those. So, I have a lot of people watching right now. So, guys, please drop your comments, your questions. I would love to have Mark answer them. I know it's a lot of agents out here, new and seasoned, that have specific scenarios that have happened in the appraisal world that I'm sure Mark has shed some light on with us today. Also, the age old question: what is considered a room? What is considered a bedroom, Mark? I know in my mind
Oh, the bedroom. Okay. Actually,
the infamous bedroom question.
yeah. Well, number one, everybody knows you have to have a window, door, and a closet.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there is some question about having a closet or not. But the another factor that a lot of people don't realize is that you have to have convenient access to a full bathroom for it to be a bedroom.
Now, what's
Now,
considered convenient access?
convenient access is on the same floor. So
Okay.
if you have to go up or downstairs to take a shower or a bath, that's not convenient.
Okay.
So that's something that has a big impact. Now, as far as the closet factor, there are a lot of homes in the West End, close to Grant Park, although in that area, that a lot of houses don't have any closets.
Yeah.
Well, if you go strictly by that rule, then technically there are no bedrooms. Well, that's not really accurate either. So in a
Right.
case like that, in a historic home or an older home, you really have to look at the intent of that room and how does that room function? What's the utility of that room? And that will tell you whether you should call it a bedroom or not.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. That answers a lot of questions because we go back and forth
Yeah.
about the whole bedroom thing, and
Yeah.
it's always a fight. So
It
that was
can
good.
be.
Right, right. That was good
Yeah.
insight on that. Like you said, a lot of the older homes don't really have closets and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
definitely intended to be a bedroom for sure. Mark, is there anything, just best practices you can give us or advice as agents that you can give us that just will make our lives easier in this
I
market?
can.
Any tips and tricks?
I I have been preaching this for, oh gosh, 15 years since I've started teaching classes. Always, if you're the listing agent, meet the appraiser at your listing. Don't let the
Okay.
appraiser in your listing with their lockbox key, because if you do, you've closed any window of opportunity you have to have a conversation with that appraiser. And when I
Mm.
say that, there are certain things that you should be able to provide to the appraiser to help them in that process, like the list of upgrades. You've probably already asked your homeowner to make a list of the upgrades or the renovations that they've done. So give me that list too. Also, talk to me about the comps that you use. Also, give me the comp that's going to kill your deal. That's very important
Oh, that is
because
good.
I'm going to find that sale anyway. And if I don't know why it sold for less, I might use it and it might end up killing the deal. So tell me why it sold for less. You
Now,
probably already know that information. So give that information to the appraiser so they can effectively explain in the report, hey, there was a sale on this address. I didn't use it because whatever the situation was, they made it not a very good comp. So
that is excellent information, Mark. Like, go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Don't let
yeah,
it come up
yeah,
in the appraisal report, and everybody's like,
yeah,
I can't believe you
absolutely.
used that.
Yeah. Another thing, tell me about your marketing. Tell me how many days on market you. I'm gonna see it anyway in your listing
Yeah,
history, but tell me how many offers you had. If you had lots of offers and you got a contract in a day and a half, that's a
yeah.
very important factor because that shows high demand, and that's a factor that the appraiser has to take into consideration.
I
So yeah,
love that. That
tell
is
me
such
about the offers.
information. That's such good information, Mark. Coming from
Yeah.
a seasoned appraiser, I love that information. So, agents, just to kind of recap what we've talked about today, Mark wants to see you when he comes to appraise the property. So,
Okay.
be there with bells on. It gives you a chance to build that rapport with the appraiser, and maybe there are less disputes, plausible to happen if you have that rapport with them and you've actually explained where you came up with your numbers, how you did your marketing, how many days on market you've experienced. That is really valuable information, Mark. Thank
Good.
you so much for all of your knowledge and just being thorough with the information that you've provided. Like you've given some good insight. I've taken some mental notes, and this will be available for playback. Thank you, Mark. You're absolutely awesome. We appreciate you and
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. It's always good
your
to see you.
Yes. Well, happy Friday, guys. This was Six Figure Real Estate University with Mark Durden from DS Murphy. Please reach out to DS Murphy. Request Mark Durden if you want an appraisal done and want it done accurately. He is the man. So let's continue the conversation in the comments. If you have questions, please comment below, and we will definitely get them answered for you. Thank you guys for joining in. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.